Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back again with another, it's not really a lesson, but just a review of a movie that I watched. I was like extra bored last night, so I thought I would just watch the entire movie of the snippet that I'll put below of Russian vids, where he takes a piece from this movie called "This Is the End," and it depicts what the rapture will look like. You know, with these so-called UFOs and these like blue beams lifting up people up. You know, and so just know that when Christ talks about or being the rock of salvation, it's like in these so-called UFOs, they'll literally look like rocks in the sky. And when Christ talks about being lifted up at the last day, he's literal. It's talking about somebody literally being lifted up. And so the trick to the Bible is that it's actually literal in many, many ways. It's amazing. And so that's depicted in that scene that I'll link below. And so that one of the earlier scenes in this movie. And so this movie follows the sequence, and it's amazing. And so it's just, again, at this point, not to be arrogant, but it doesn't surprise me, that that's the case. But so it starts off with the rapture, which is that scene that I'll link below. And people are just like, what's going on? People literally being lifted up, through the roof and stuff like that. And, taken away. And so we see that. And so then there's a time of great tribulation. And so what happens during this time, the next scene is like people like denying that was even a rapture. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, we didn't feel anything and all that kind of stuff. And so it's giving us clues as to like the way people are going to react. They'll be like, no, that wasn't God, or that was like, we don't know, aliens, and it was an abduction or something like that. And then we see that, really a theme throughout this whole time of great tribulation. And then we have an earthquake scene, and then America on fire scene, again, which is also part of Bible prophecy. At the end of Revelation 11 and Revelation 16, it's the same earthquake. And so that's right before America gets burned. Okay. And so all these things are like happening during the time of the Great Tribulation. And then this movie is like depicting it, in sequence. It's absolutely incredible. And so now there's essentially like all these like zombies, and like, people trying to like, kill them and all that kind of stuff, the rest of the people that are on the earth. And so again, this is God's left-hand side. They're gonna view those zombies as like evil, when in the Bible narrative it's righteous, like when God is destroying and killing when he returns with his elect. And so, just know that. And so the interesting thing that I found in this movie is that after the first rapture scene, there's another rapture scene. But in this case, two men are being beamed up. Wow. So what do we have that happening in Bible prophecy in Revelation 11? Two men beamed up after their bodies have laid in the streets of America for 3.5 days. And so obviously in the movie, it's just two of those clowns. But wow. Okay, really, come on. Like this is like kind of a victory lap for me at this point. But it's everywhere, literally. It's on God's left-hand side, and then it's everywhere in the Bible, and then in the Apocrypha. And so it foreshadows a sequence, and so after all this destruction, the earthquake, America on fire, two men are beamed up, and so that represents the two witnesses. And so then after that, there's a heaven scene, where they're like the Backstreet Boys are saying, okay, like they're mocking heaven. It's like stupid. Then they're saying that heaven's up there, and wherever, when we know that the kingdom of heaven is going to be established here on earth, and it's going to be like it is in heaven. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so it's going to be like it's brought down, here, and that kind of thing. So obviously they're working from like duality, opposites, but the sequence is there, and it holds. And so there's a rapture, there's an earthquake where people are dying because of it. That's how big it is, many people. And then America on fire, and then two men beamed up, which represents the two witnesses. And obviously they're not reading like the two witnesses and stuff like that, but like one of the characters has a Bible, and he's trying to convince them like, hey, maybe this is. And so that's a reference, indirect reference to the gospel being preached, and some amount of God's right-hand side still on the earth being like, hey, what if that was God? What if the Bible is actually true? And that kind of thing. And so obviously in the Bible, you have to read the plagues, Revelation 16, and they're in sequential order, and they're necessary to be in that sequence, because God's going to start attacking people's body, their health, first with sores, and then, the food supply, and then, heat wave, and then he's going to shut the power off. So there's no AC and all that kind of stuff. If there's a heat wave, but you have AC, then it's not a big deal. But if you have a heat wave and then right on the back of it, you have a power outage, then that's a problem. Okay. And then they're going to have sores on their body. And so it's worse, in the Bible than what they depicted here. And they depicted a lot of bad stuff here because they were actually sort of able to survive, and that kind of thing. But it's going to be a free for all, that kind of thing. And so, because it's happening to the entire world simultaneously, just know that they're giving allusions to the fact that it's just in like California and stuff. But the Bible predicts what this is happening worldwide simultaneously. That's never happened in human history, and that can only happen at the hands of God, and then at the hands of two righteous men, the two witnesses. So this is the end. Okay, I mean, literally, this is the end, the movie, and it was made many, many years ago. And I'll put the wiki link below. And so first, in general, why would they make a movie like this? Okay, in 2013, apocalyptic comedy. And so also, I want people to understand this retarded movie at the box office brought in $126 million. And so that's God's money. And so God would have to make this for a particular reason. And so just know that. Okay, he's financing his left and right hand side. And a lot of his right hand side is poor. And that's what he wants. So they have to call out to him. But God spent the money, the budget, the $32 million to then make $126 million. Then to pay those demons to make that movie. And so just know that. And then this literally can't go on forever, or else God is evil. It's like he's just paying a bunch of people to make stupid movies that mock him ultimately. Obviously, we see that, that there's some parallels, but we don't need to see this to know that the Bible is true. This is, again, for me, just strictly to kill time. And this is why I don't watch movies, because this movie is stupid. And it's just a bunch of druggies, and there's certain famous people, and there's all these gay references and all that kind of stuff. It's just stupid. I literally lose brain cells watching this. Again, it was purely because I was bored to kill time, and then I wanted to see if the sequence was anywhere there. That's the only reason why. I actually, in many ways, even talk to people, even like End Times Teacher, because if we bring out a certain verse that I haven't read in a while, I may spot the sequence, and I'm like, okay, well, that's good. So I'll get another example. There's already 150 and more, and then now this is in a movie, and I found it in rap songs and stuff. So it's literally everywhere, but that's all that's left for me, at this point. And so I know for a fact at this point that sequence is in the Bible, and that's what the Bible says. And so we just have to wait to see if it actually happens in real life. But I have a feeling we're not going to have to wait long. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.